It's a family story that up to a certain extent depicts the story of my own family that really touched me. And as I am an immigrant, family stories and the family background is very important as starting point to find one's own identity. And so it was clear to me that sometimes I will write a book, a long novel on Russian, concerning Russian Jewish history, and that I will depict many aspects of Russian Jewish destiny in this book. Well, and what really initiated was the starting point for the creation of this book was my grandmother. My grandmother didn't immigrate with my parents and with me to the West at the beginning of the 1970s. She had stayed in Leningrad in Russia, in the Soviet Union, and she only succeeded to get out and come back to the Soviet Union to visit us as a tourist, my parents and me, in the late 80s, in 1988, when the political situation had already changed in Russia. And it was a more liberal regime at that time under Gorbachev, so she visited my mother. She was the mother of my mother, and she told me her life story, or some episodes, not everything, but some episodes of her life. And I had 5 audio cassettes. You still remember those audio cassettes in those old analog machines when you had to push 2 buttons in order to record. And so I had 5 cassettes in Russian, and I was 22 years old. So it took me many years before I started translating them. Watching them again, and I wrote everything down in Russian. So I had about 60 pages, and I translated it into German. Still had about 60 pages, a little bit more, and then you see the novel has more than 400. So my grandmother is the prototype for Rosa Masur, but Rosa Masur in fact emancipated herself from her prototype and developed into a real, authentic, and I hope vivid novel character of her own. My father was always wanted to leave the country. He didn't want to stay in Austria, and didn't see Austria as his new homeland because of this historical connection to Hitler and the Nazi time, and many Jews at that time said, no, Austria and Germany is not a new fatherland or homeland for Jews who are coming from Russia or somewhere else. It's not possible 1 generation after Hitler, and that's why he wanted to leave, but it just didn't work out. So maybe it was a late revenge of Hitler on him to force him to live there and to die there, but it's completely different with me. Because I've become a German writing author, and I speak and I write Austrian German. It is it's normal German, but with some peculiarities. As in southern France, you have some peculiarities if you compare it to northern France, and it's the same with Austrian and German. So I speak and I love this Austrian German. I write in this language. I live in Austria. I'm a real Austrian, and I'm part of the Austrian culture, and Hitler is dead, and he didn't succeed to kill my parents or to kill me. So it's my revenge on him. I see it completely the other way around. It's my revenge on him that I live in this country, and he is dead and burnt, and it's forbidden to mention his name or to say Heil Hitler, and I publish my books, and I'm Jewish. Of course. I mean, you have the anti-Semitism of the Muslims. You have them. Of course, here in France, I don't have to tell you about that. It's dangerous. I think it's dangerous to live here as a Jew. I mean, it's not dangerous being here as a Jew, but you have some risks that are even more than for the rest of the population when Jewish institutions are being attacked and so. And when a Jewish supermarket, when Charlie Hebdo was attacked, then they attacked the Jewish supermarket, not some supermarket, a Jewish one. That was not par hasard. That was not an accident. They've really chosen it because it was Jewish, and similar things happen all over Europe, not so much in Austria, but in Germany you see Jews being attacked by Muslims. In Sweden, in Malmö. Malmö is a very dangerous town. That's one problem. The other problem are the right-wingers. I mean, you have the ridiculous situation that you have the right-wingers, the populists, Marine Le Pen or HC Strache or the Sverige Demokraterna in Sweden, the Swedish Democratic Party, which is a right-wing populist party, and you have the Winter in the Netherlands, and you have the Vlaams Blok in Belgium. So you have them everywhere. They're very strong in Austria, and they're much against Muslims, and sometimes they even pro-Jewish and pro-Israeli because they're against Muslims. Well, I think one of the reasons and something that gives them strength, and that's why the Jewish people has survived all those centuries of persecutions, of pogroms, and even the annihilation and the Shoah, is because of their humor, and of their optimistic view on life. Finally, of course, there are many pessimistic Jews too, but in fact, the ability to laugh about oneself, to see one critically, and to laugh about the others, gives one the strength, and it gives you the strength to fight your enemies. If you laugh at your enemy, the enemy loses its greatness. It's not that big anymore. The enemy is still dangerous, but it loses its magic dominance. If you see the enemy also as in all its ridiculousness, its stupidity, its and you see the tiny brain of those anti-Semites, that's humor. And you also laugh about yourself because you're not that big, you're also small, you're a victim. You're a victim, but there's something funny about yourself. That's the resilience. In every minority, you find people who have this ability, of laughing about oneself, laughing about the world, even if the world is dark for you, and you feel endangered or you feel discriminated against. If you manage to see the optimistic, the positive aspects of life, you go out. Everything is terrible on the one hand, and then you look around and say, still, it's so great to be alive. And that's what I wanted also to depict in that book. It's a book with really many terrible situations that are being told, and many episodes that I know, for instance, from my grandmother, the blockade of Leningrad, when 1 million people starved. When I heard that stories as a child, I couldn't sleep. So it's a heavy book up to a certain extent, but at the same time I hope it's an optimistic book. It's a book that should, that was my intention, should give you strength for life and not take that strength, that energy away from you. It's a book that should give you the energy. If I succeeded with them, then I'm really very, very happy.